When I realized that I was just the fallen school beauty who smoked, skipped classes, and had an abortion in the novel about the pain of youth, I was being kissed by Xuan in the men's toilet cubicle. He kissed me urgently and fiercely. His hand went into my neck, and he even tore off 2 buttons of my school uniform on my chest just because Lai Shashia rejected his confession today. She confided in him that the person she really liked was actually their class monitor, John Jen. Xuan was handsome and wild, and he had dated almost all the beautiful girls in No One Middle School. For the first time, he fell into the hands of this timid and simple little white rabbit. He had a fire in his heart that he had nowhere to vent. After class, he pulled me into the men's toilet and couldn't wait to kiss me. In my previous life, I lost my virginity in this cramped and dirty place. Later, because of an accidental pregnancy, I lost my life due to heavy bleeding when having an abortion in a small clinic. Thinking of this, I raised my knees and hit him between his legs. The lustful boy screamed in pain. "Suang, what are you doing?" I glared at him. "Very dirty, Shenu." He barely glanced at the surrounding environment and said impatiently, "TSK, trouble. Let's change places next time." "Xuan, you're very dirty." I wiped my lips that he kissed with the back of my hand in disgust. Then I kicked the door of the men's toilet and walked out, not wanting to stay with him for even a second. Xuan widened his eyes in disbelief. "Suang, what are you pretending? Wasn't it you who said that I kissed very comfortably just now?"
"Why?"
"I asked you to hook up with John Jen, and you are addicted to acting." I hurried back to the classroom to rinse my mouth and didn't bother to pay attention to him at all. It was evening self-study. At this time, when I came in, my classmates looked at me frequently. I sat back in my seat uncomfortably. Seeing that the seat next to me was still empty, I asked Xiang behind me, "Where's John Jen?" He was called away by the dean. "Why did you call him?" Chi Wang's eyes widened. "Have you lost your memory? The monthly exam results are out." Jansen fell back by more than 400 places this time. Of course, he was called in for a lecture. What memories of my previous life flooded into my mind. On the day of the monthly exam, I fainted due to hypoglycemia and was sent to the infirmary by the teacher. When I woke up in a daze, I saw Jansen sitting upright next to me. "Why are you here? Shouldn't you be taking the exam at this time?" I handed in a blank paper. Jen's voice was calm, as if he was explaining something unimportant. He leaned over to tuck the quilt for me and asked, "Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere?"
"Dizzy."
I deliberately made things difficult for him. "Jang I want to eat candy now. Snow pear and osmanthus candy from the one in the north of the city." Okay, he didn't hesitate and got up to buy it. Later, the monthly exam results were announced. Because he scored 0 in the comprehensive science exam, he fell from the top of the grade for the first time and fell outside the top 400. He was also punished by the Discipline Inspection Commission for violating school rules by climbing over the wall to leave the school. I thought viciously at that time, "It's great." The university bully fell into the dust. The teacher who liked him the most also began to hate him. Xuan would definitely be happy. "And now, Dean, I'm sorry. It's all my fault." I rushed into the office breathlessly and bowed to the Dean of Teaching. It was me who didn't let John Jen take the exam, and it was me who asked him to jump over the wall to buy me something. He is a good student who abides by the rules, and it was me who threatened him, saying that if he didn't listen to me, I would let the gangsters outside the school teach him a lesson. "I'm sorry, Dean. If there is any punishment, just put it on my name. He will take the entrance exam for Tsinghua University in the future, and there can't be a stain in his file." I was originally a bad student with a very bad reputation in the school, and it was not uncommon for him to do bad things. The Dean of Teaching did not suspect anything, so he asked John Jen to go back to the classroom first and then scolded me severely. He said that John Jen was a super genius that was rare in the school's 100 years of establishment, and he was the glory and hope of the school, and his future was limitless. He told me to let a bad person like me stay away from him and not be a stumbling block on his bright future. I nodded sincerely in agreement. I knew the bad consequences of not doing this for my previous life. I walked out of the office door. Jang Sen's cold voice came from behind. "Why lie for me? I looked back at him. It turned out that he had not left and had been waiting for me here. The summer breeze poured into the corridor, blowing up the broken hair on his forehead. The familiar eyes, like the deep lake surface in the autumn night, were incongruously stained with starlight. I seemed to remember my previous life. Xuan Nuo and I accidentally got pregnant, and the school and parents knew about it. At that time, we had just turned 19, and we were panicked and didn't know what to do. The head teacher and my parents asked me who the father of the child was. I lied that the child was Jay. Sanu hated John Zhen, so I hated John Zhen too. It shouldn't be a problem to let him take the blame. I comforted myself in this way. The head teacher naturally refused to believe my lies. He firmly believed in Zhang's character and accused me of lying. After all, I had many criminal records, and my moral character was worrying. I was a real bad student. But when he really brought Zhang Sun to confront me, Zhang Sun just looked at me quietly and said softly, "Suang didn't lie, he's mine." I turned away with a guilty conscience, but what greeted Zhang Sun was the abuse and punches from my parents. The head teacher looked ashen and left in anger. Zhang Sun was punished twice, and the school gave the admission quota that I could have been given to him in second place, and on the day of the college entrance examination, I died on the operating table. He handed in a blank paper, just like the monthly exam. "I'm sorry, Jen. I'm really sorry." Emotions surged in my heart, and my nose was blocked and sour. I apologized to him from the bottom of my heart. Jason frowned and walked over. "What did the dean say to you?" I forced back my tears. "He asked me to stay away from you and stop pestering you. Did you agree?" I nodded. I once dragged Jansen into hell with my own hands. He lost his reputation, missed the college entrance examination, and his future was ruined. But now everything is in time. As long as I draw a clear line with him, stay away from him, and stop harming him, it's in time. Jiang Sen's eyes sank, and his fingers loosened and curled. "When did you start listening to the teacher so much?" "I'm doing this for your own good. You will know later." I didn't answer much, and rushed back to the classroom to pack up and moved back to the corner of the back row. When John Zhen came back, he saw that my desk was empty. He pursed his lips and said nothing, doing exercises and reading books as usual. Seeing this, Lin Sha walked over with the exercise book in her hand and said softly, "Class monitor, I don't know how to do a physics problem. Can you teach me?" After that, she was about to sit next to him. Who knew that as soon as she took a step forward, Jiang Sen's hand pressed on the stool where I was originally sitting. With a retraction of the forearm, the stool was moved far away. Tomorrow I still had papers to finish. Liasia almost sat empty-handed, thinking that he was in a bad mood because he was scolded, so she kindly comforted him. "Class monitor, don't be sad. I know you are capable, and you will definitely get first place in the grade in the next monthly exam, as long as you don't always get involved with those poor students." Lin Shashia interrupted her. "You are the discipline committee member. You are still talking during evening self-study. Is it in line with class rules?" Lai Shasha's eyes quickly filled with mist, and she said timidly, "I'm sorry. I know I was wrong." Then she returned to her seat and lay on the table, sobbing softly. I was distracted by the backs of these two people. Lin Sha is beautiful and well-behaved with excellent grades. Only such an excellent girl can keep pace with Jiang Sun and lead him to the right path. It's a pity that this nerd doesn't know how to be sympathetic to women. It seems that I have to help him personally when necessary. At this time, the phone rang, and Jiang sent a WeChat message. "The room is ready. Rose Crystal A508. Remember to buy the morning after pills. I don't like wearing that stuff." I laughed in anger. No wonder he didn't come to the evening self-study class. This idiot didn't think I was playing some kind of lustful game with him, did he? Just keep your toothpick for your own use. I quickly typed a string of words and put him on the blacklist. Without hesitation, in my previous life, I liked someone like this, which was simply mentally damaging. The next day, I dyed my long pink hair back to black. I shortened my school uniform skirt and couldn't restore it. I didn't know where I threw my school uniform jacket. I can only wait until next Monday to go to the school general affairs office to buy a new one. On the way to school, I happened to meet Chi Wong, who lived in the same community, and called him over. Chi Wong looked back for a long time before fixing his eyes on me. His mouth opened as if he could swallow an egg, and then he uttered, "Sister Tang, why did you dye your hair black?" I walked up to him. "Does it look weird?" Chi Wong's face flushed, and he scratched the back of his head. "That's not the case. It just looks a little pure." No, I'm a little uncomfortable." I ignored him and took off his school uniform jacket. "Lend it to me for 2 days, and I'll return it to you in 2 days. After saying that, I put the jacket on myself. Chi Wong's face became even redder. "Sister Tang, you look like you're not wearing anything underneath." Chi Wong is tall, and his jacket just covers my short skirt. After buttoning it up, you can only see 2 exposed thin white legs under the wide school uniform jacket. I simply took off my jacket and tied it around my waist. "How about this? This is much better." Chi Wong and I walked side by side to school. He asked, "Nanga has an appointment with the people from the vocational school next door to fight tonight. What time are you going?" "I'm not going." The fight started because someone from the vocational school whistled at Liasia, and Xuan Nu was so angry that he issued a challenge. In my last life, I was worried that Xuan Nu would suffer a loss in a fight with someone from the vocational school, so I skipped the evening self-study class to help him. Who knew that he would leave me there to protect Liasia? If Jason hadn't arrived later, I don't know what terrible things would have happened to me. Only a fool would do such a thankless, stupid thing again. Then what are you doing?" Chi Wong asked curiously. "Doing homework." "Doing homework? Did I hear it right? Suong is not sticking to Nango anymore? He is going to be a good student and do homework." A burst of sarcastic laughter suddenly came from behind. Chi Wong and I both turned around. I saw Shanu and his little follower Sui riding a motorcycle and stopping behind us. Sui continued to laugh. "Brother Nan, look, Suong dyed his hair black. Is he trying to imitate Linnea?" Shanu had dark circles under his eyes, and it seemed that he didn't sleep well. He fixed his eyes on me and said unhappily, "What did you do last night? Don't you know I waited for you all night?" "What did you do last night? What's your business?" "You waited for me all night? What's your business?" Damn, I was annoyed. When I got up early, I rolled my eyes and walked away. "Suong." Shenu called my name with anger. "Su." Pat Shenu on the shoulder. "Brother Nan, can't you see Suong did it on purpose? She knows that you like Liasia, so she imitates Liasia to attract your attention. Look, Linas has black hair, so she dyed it black. Linnea usually ignores you, so she imitates her to ignore you. Liasia likes that Jang Sin, so she deliberately gets close to Chiang. She probably thought that if she imitates Liasia, you'll like her." Suai shook his head in understanding. "Women, you still can't give her too much face. Leave her alone for a few days, and she will come back and beg you to talk to her." Shunk's face looked much better. "She has so many little thoughts," he sneered again. "She also wants to imitate Seja, aping others." After that, he turned the handlebars and, with a boom, drove the motorcycle away. The news that Xuan Nu was going to fight with the vocational school next door quickly spread throughout the class. A girl said to Lin Shashia, "Shashia, you have to be careful. Xuan fought with others for you. Some people are jealous." After that, the two looked at me. I was doing my homework with my head down, still muttering, "Your magnesium took away my zinc. Mg plus CnSO4 equals MgSO4 plus Cn." The girl said, "Look, you were pretending to study, but you were actually thinking about confessing to Xuan Nu." Lai Shashia glanced in the direction of Jansen again. Jansen also looked at me sideways but turned back after just one glance. His eyes were deep, and I didn't know what he meant. Lai Shashia bit her lip and said loudly, "It has nothing to do with me, who Xuan fights with. Don't associate me with him." The girl shut up. I studied hard for a day. I took notes for half a book, but there was too much knowledge left, which made me dizzy. So after the last class in the afternoon, I went to the rooftop to memorize words, but I fell asleep while memorizing. When I woke up, it was dark. When I went back to the classroom for evening self-study, Liasia and John Jen were gone. I had a bad feeling and asked Wei Long, "Where are they?" "Oh, Lai Shashia and Nongo left together. I'm asking about John Jen." "I don't know. When did you care about him so much?" But it seemed that after Nong and Lanasha left, I didn't see him. Damn it. I quickly threw away the English dictionary in my hand and ran out. When I rushed to a deserted bungalow area, based on my memory, the two sides were already fighting fiercely. I stood outside the crowd, anxiously searching for Zheng's figure. When Sui saw me, he smiled with a bruised mouth. "Brother Nan, look who's here. I told you that if you're fighting here, how can Suang continue to study?" Xuanonu looked at me and sneered. "Suang, don't always stick to me. I don't have time to protect you right now." After that, he punched a boy who wanted to pull Liasia, who knew that the boy, who weighed about 200 pounds on the opposite side, didn't move at all but instead pulled Shu's collar and lifted him up. Lina screamed in shock. At this time, I found Xian Zhen, who was fighting with someone not far away, so I ran towards him through the crowd. Just when I ran to Shu's side, Shanu said with his neck stiff, "Suang, you don't need me." Before he finished speaking, I passed by him and hugged Jansen from behind. "Jansen, be careful." The fist that hit Jansen was about to fall. He quickly turned around and protected me in his arms and kicked the man. Shunk's words were still in his mouth, his eyes full of disbelief. While he was stunned, the 200-pound boy had thrown him heavily to the ground. He screamed in pain. I said, "Jiang Xin, run." Jen understood, took my hand, and ran away. The people behind were chasing him relentlessly. Jiang's and I ran into the alley. There was a hidden corner in the branch road. We hid in it, but the corner was so narrow that we could barely stand with our bodies pressed together. Even if I just nodded, I might kiss Jiang Sen's chin. Jen's breathing drifted into my ears, itchy and abrupt. In this tense and quiet moment, I gritted my teeth and said, "Can you breathe less loudly?" Jiangan suddenly laughed. "Suang, you are pressing against me." I lowered my head and pressed my chest against him. My face turned red. I couldn't help but think of my setting in this book, a simple-minded, decoupled school beauty. It was a long time before there were no more footsteps outside. Jansen and I walked out of the alley. Jansen said, "Are you hurt?" I shook my head and then scolded him. "Are you stupid? People are fighting for Lin's favor. Why are you joining in the fun? Aren't you also doing this for Xuan?" I'm too lazy to get involved in their business. I fell asleep while reciting English words on the rooftop. Did you think I came to help Xuan and fight? I reached out and pinched Young's chin, looked around, and fortunately, there was only one wound. Silly, don't you think about it? What if you, a good student, are punished? Jason obediently let me rub him, but his eyes were always fixed on me. "Suang, are you concerned about me?" "Nonsense. You are a good student with a bright future and unlimited prospects. How can you be the same as us?" Jansen pursed his lips and said nothing, letting me drag him to the pharmacy. I bought anti-inflammatory medicine and cotton swabs and carefully applied medicine to him. Afraid that he would be in pain, I also moved close to his face and gently wiped his wound. The moment he stood up, Jiang Sun, who had been silent all the time, suddenly called my name. "Suang H. You don't like good students, so I won't be a good student, okay?" Jansen sat on the steps of the pharmacy and looked up at me seriously. "You dare?" I was surprised that he had such an idea. It's so good to be a good student. Teachers and classmates like you, and you can get into a good university in the future, find a good job, and make a lot of money. But you think I'm boring? Jansen interrupted me, and his thick eyelashes, like crow feathers, drooped. Even being my desk mate is unbearable. I couldn't explain to Young Sun that I was reborn. I couldn't tell him how badly I hurt him in his last life. I just warned him to study hard and not to let his imagination run wild, and then walked towards the school. He followed behind me, not in a hurry, keeping a safe distance. When passing a small park, suddenly there was a painful inhalation from inside. When I turned my head, it turned out to be Xuan Nuo. He sat against a big tree, his whole body covered with bruises and blood. Even one of his shoes was lost. Shashia had long disappeared. Without my delay this time, the unruly, no-one middle school bully was beaten into such a state. Seeing me coming, Xuan's eyes lit up. "Suang, you came to find me," he complained, dissatisfied. "Why are you so slow?" I stood still. Jansen then walked to my side. Xuan Nu's eyes swept back and forth between the two of us, and his face suddenly darkened. "Have you been with him?" "Yes, you forget it. Come and help me first." I crossed my arms, raised my chin, and admired his miserable appearance from a high position. There was no movement for a long time. At this time, Xuan Nu vaguely realized that I didn't seem to plan to care about him. He looked unhappy. "Suang, don't play too much.
Come here now."
I won't hold you responsible for what happened in the past 2 days. Otherwise, you will not be able to end this. And what are you going to punish me? Are you going to dump me and ignore me in the future? Or are you going to pursue Liasia or other girls wholeheartedly? I smiled. "Shenu, I couldn't ask for more." He frowned. "Suang, it's boring to act too much." I shrugged and said to Jansen, "Look, rotten people are suitable to rot in the ground. It's unnecessary to save him. Let's go." After that, I took Jansen's hand and raised my leg to leave. Suang, the boy behind me, punched the ground and made a final threat. "If you leave now, don't cry and beg me to pay attention to you in the future." I never looked back. Xuan Nu was hospitalized. I have no interest in listening. Sual looked incredulous. "Suang Nan is injured and hospitalized now, but he needs someone to care for him. If you take advantage of this opportunity, maybe he—" "Why should I take advantage of this opportunity? He didn't get injured for me." "Oh, you're jealous." Sual looked as if he had suddenly realized something. "That's right. You can't compare with Liasia, but you can lick better than her. Maybe if you lick for a long time, Nan will be moved." "Get lost." I kicked him off the table. "If you keep talking in front of me, also shut your mouth." Xuan Nu has many brothers, and when they see me, they all respectfully call me Sister Tang. Even more than half of the people are advocating me to be a real sister-in-law. Only Su Ru, every time he sees me, either sneers or sarcastically remarks, as if I dug up his family's grave. "You don't know what's good for you." Su covered his buttocks and gasped in pain. He was asking for trouble with me and wanted to find Liasia, but he couldn't find her after turning around a few times. The class was in a mess. I took the physics textbook and went out, ready to find a quiet place to read. Who knew that I saw Jansen and Linnea in the abandoned activity room? I quickly hid. "Liasia," I said softly to Jansen, "were you hurt yesterday? I've been worried about you, but I couldn't contact you." "Jansen, I'm fine. You asked me to tell you this." Liasia grabbed the hem of her skirt and took a deep breath. It seemed that she mustered up a lot of courage before she said, "I hate Shu and Suang and their gang. They are violent, brainless, and have a lot of bad habits. If you get involved with them, nothing good will happen. Jansen, we are different from them. We must stay away from them so that Lin Shashia." Jansen put one hand in his pocket. His skin was porcelain white, close to being sick, and his eyes were black under his old glasses. He was as silent as a pool of water. "If you hate Xuan Nu, just stay away from him, and you don't have to report to me. But if you want to persuade me to stay away from Suang, I'm sorry, I don't plan to do that." After he finished speaking, he turned around and was about to leave. Liasia quickly blocked his way. His eyes were slightly red, and he was as stubborn as a little rabbit. Yes, I admit that Suang is very interesting. When everyone is studying hard and looking dirty, she is beautiful and different. The school requires that hair dyeing is not allowed, but she dyed it into a dazzling pink. The school requires proper dress, but she shortens her skirt. She wears makeup, smokes, skips classes, fights, and swears, and is still the focus of discussion among boys in the school. But, Jansen, you are not the same kind of people as her. She enjoys playing tricks on others, and she is happiest when she sees you being fooled around. Last time your grades dropped, and this time you are fighting in a group. Sooner or later, she will drag you down. Liasia said earnestly. "Jansen, I am helping you. correcting you to get on the right path. Are you done? Jansen finally showed an impatient look. Do you like me? Do you think you and I are the same kind of people? He took long steps and approached Laisha step by step. You know me well. Because I study well, I explain 2 questions to you, and I almost always respond to requests from other classmates in the class. I am valued and liked by the teacher, so you think I am a good student. Laisha leaned against the wall with her back, unable to retreat. She bit her lip, her voice trembling. Isn't it? Jansen pulled the corner of his lips. His long arm passed over Laisha's ear, and with a bang, he hit the wall behind her. She shrank in fear. There are 5,276 photos of Su Tang in my phone. Every night, I have to look at those photos before I can fall asleep. She put the remaining fabric from cutting skirts under my pillow. I don't know how many times she kissed and caressed it. She said my fingers are beautiful. I really want to make a specimen and give it to her. I am crazier than Shu. I am a good student just because I am afraid of scaring her. Laisha, now do you still dare to say you like me? Laisha covered her mouth, and her whole body was shaking with fear. Her face was wet with tears. Finally, she pushed Jansen away and ran out. I was stunned and stood there, but I looked at the person opposite me. Jansen said, "Have you eavesdropped enough?" I couldn't help but take 2 steps back, and Jansen walked straight to me. The bad side of the good student was exposed. The bright and sunny university god turned out to be a hidden lunatic. His fingers hanging by his side were slightly curled up, and blue veins were faintly protruding on the porcelain white back of his hand. Suppressing panic, I asked, "Are you afraid of me?" As soon as I said this, I calmed down. I have seen Jansen in 2 lifetimes, how gentle and restrained he is, and how kind he is to me. I know it best. No. I shook my head quickly. I won't be afraid of you no matter what you look like. After thinking for a while, he said, Jason, I still like the way you looked when you were studying the most. You are confident and dazzling. I still want to be your desk mate. Can you take me to Tsinghua University? Jansen looked at me in surprise. Suang, you have to keep your word. Of course, I took the initiative to reach out and hook Jang Sen's little finger. A liar is a puppy when licking. I moved back to my original position and became Jang Sen's deskmate again. I thought, since even a good student like Laisha, with excellent grades, can't win Jen's heart and lead him back to the right path, let me, the instigator of the evil, do this last time. I made him not even have time to take the college entrance examination. This time, I want to see Jang get into the best university with my own eyes, watch him shine, have a successful career, and live a happy life. If he wants, I will accompany him. If he gets tired of me, I will take the initiative to leave. In this life, it is my turn to keep him. I began to devote all my time to studying and urging Jason to study. Jang explained the questions for me. He is smart and even the most difficult questions can become simple with his explanation. With his help, I can even calculate a few fill-in-the-blank questions independently. I also got 63 points in the math test. Jansen bought me osmanthus candy from Chongbei to encourage me. I lay on the table weekly. 150 points. I got 63 points. I had said shamelessly before that I wanted to go to Tsinghua University, but Jansen didn't laugh. Jansen patted my back and comforted me. Don't worry, take your time. Sometimes I was really tired of doing the questions, and the urge to smoke was too uncomfortable, so I started to go crazy. Jangs, let me do it. Are you feeling uncomfortable? Do you want to eat some candy to relieve the pressure? He always noticed my abnormality at the first time. I showed my 2 fangs ferociously. The candy is too greasy. I want to bite people. Jansen actually unbuttoned his coat, exposed his arm, and handed it to my mouth. Bite it. Seeing that I didn't move for a long time, he handed over the other arm. Or this one. You said it. I grabbed his arm and left a tooth mark on his forearm. Jen didn't even frown. I suspected that he was a wooden man and didn't feel pain. Jen, you secretly looked at me more than 10 times during class today. You didn't study seriously. Biting you is a punishment. If you don't get back to the first place in this monthly exam, I'll see how I deal with you. Jae Youngsun chuckled. Don't worry, looking at you won't affect my admission to Tsinghua University. I pouted. You'd better. When the monthly exam was approaching, Xuanyu was discharged from the hospital. I hadn't seen him for more than half a month. He has lost a lot of weight. There is a scar on his left eyebrow that is long to the end of his eye. The scar is not shallow and should be difficult to repair. Although it is not disfigured, Xuanyu has always been narcissistic about his appearance, which is enough to make him uncomfortable for a while. Also, maybe because Liasia abandoned him in the last fight, when he came back his attitude towards Lin Shashia was also much colder. Once the two met face to face, Lin Shashia finally mustered up the courage to say, "Nu, I will take the entrance exam to Tsinghua University in the future. If you fight for me and hurt yourself, I will only think it is childish and will not be touched. I will never like someone like you." Xuanyu did not react much after hearing this. He just said, "I know," and passed by her. I kept pestering Jason to study. Even when I went to the cafeteria to eat, I would chase him to ask questions I didn't understand in class. I tied my hair into a ponytail and wore a school uniform skirt that was over my knees. No more skipping classes, no more fighting, no more smoking, no more wasting my youth with Xuanyu and his group of people who just wanted to get by. One weekend, Jansen and I made an appointment to do homework at a fast food restaurant. It happened that Xuanyu and his group of brothers came here to order food. They must have just smoked outside, and the smell of mint mixed with nicotine spread. Jansen saw my discomfort and naturally rolled up his sleeves, revealing a part of his forearm. I didn't bring any candy. Bite me if you feel uncomfortable. I couldn't help but laugh and complained. They stink. I sniffed closer to his neck. Jen, you smell better. Jansen's body was very straight, and the tip of his ear unconsciously turned red. Pretending to be serious, he said, "Do your homework well?" Yes, class monitor Suar, who had just received the meal, saw this scene and couldn't help but complain to Xuan. How long will Suan continue to act? Why do I feel that she doesn't act now as if she really likes Jang? Xuanyu looked ugly and turned to the door to smoke, but the lighter didn't catch fire. Several attempts, Su shouted from behind. "Brother Nan, don't you want to eat?" Nu became more and more irritated. "No, I'm sick of it." The next day after school, Xuanyu stopped me at the school gate. For the first time, he rode a motorcycle, and the scar on his brow added a bit of hostility. He was as arrogant as ever. He glanced at me and said, "You haven't taken the initiative to look for me for so long, and you haven't said a word to me. Suang, you are very patient." I was puzzled. Tolerating chicken feathers? I was busy taking the college entrance examination. How could I have time to pay attention to him? I was too lazy to talk nonsense and raised my legs to leave. I heard Shisai, as if he had let down his heavy defense, with a helpless tone that I had never heard before. He said, "Okay, Suang, your goal has been achieved." I agree. I was even more confused. Agree to what? Haven't you always wanted to be my girlfriend? I agreed. I was careless when I asked you to seduce Zhongzhen before. I admit that when you rushed over to protect Zhongzhen in the last fight, I was super upset. You don't have to care about him in the future. The game is over. From now on, you will be my only girlfriend. There will be no Liasia and no other girls. I was very upset. I did have other purposes when I first approached Xianzhen. At that time, I liked Xuanyu very much, and I wanted to give my whole heart to him. He was also very annoyed because Liasia liked Zhongzhen, so he said to me, "Want to be my girlfriend? Okay, then go and seduce Zhongzhen. If he falls in love with you, then I will date you." I believed it and turned around and became Zhonggen's deskmate. But that was in the past. Now, sorry, I don't really care about your girlfriend position now. Shu, you frowned. Suang, did you not understand what I said? I'm talking about a legitimate girlfriend. Will being your girlfriend give me extra points in the college entrance examination? Or can being your girlfriend get me into Tsinghua University? It was as if it was a great favor. My patience was exhausted, and Zhongzhen happened to appear at this time. I waved to Zhongzhen and said, "Wait for me, let's go home together." After saying that, I was about to leave, but Xuanyu grabbed my arm. He almost gritted his teeth and said, Suang, I told you that the game is over. Why are you still paying attention to him? Who is playing games with you? I was completely irritated. I liked you before, so I stuck to you. And now I like him, so I stick to him. Is this hard to understand, Xuan? I will change my mind too. Who stipulates that I can only like you for the rest of my life? Xuan Nu's eyes were full of disbelief. He opened and closed his mouth several times, but in the end, he didn't say a word. At this time, Jansen came over. He looked at Xuan indifferently, as if he was looking at an annoying cockroach. Suang, don't bother with a physics test. 3 points? People stay together. It is easy to spread stupidity. I quickly shook off Xuan's hand, took out a tissue, and wiped the place that Xuan touched with a gloomy face. I just passed the pH6 test, and I can't fall back after doing all this. I took the initiative to hold Jang Sen's hand and asked very seriously, then if I touch the university god's hand more, can I get a few more points? Jansen couldn't help but chuckle. What are you talking about? Oh my god, Suang. You're so funny. How can I like you? Among all of Brother Nan's girlfriends, you are the one I can't stand the most. Yeah, I took over your Brother Nan. He has had so many girlfriends, even Laesia, who has never looked at him straight in the eye. You are always polite to her, but you never have a good face to me. I had a quarrel with Xuan Nanu, and you mocked me. Xuan chased other girls, and you ran over to annoy me at the first time. Xuan Onu treated me a little bit better, and you turned around and said bad things about me in his ear. Sue, your behavior is just like the most mischievous boy in the class when he was a child, who would deliberately tease the girl he liked to attract her attention. You keep calling Brother Nan, but you are actually jealous to death when you see me sticking to him, right? Shunk's face suddenly changed, staring at Sue. Sue's face flushed red, and he shook his head hurriedly. No, I didn't. Brother Nan, if you believe me, how could I? Xuan Onu stretched out his hand and said, take out your phone. Suai covered his pocket tightly. Brother Nan, why are you looking at your phone? I really didn't. Xuan Onu didn't say much nonsense and directly snatched Su Roy's phone and opened it, swiping to the contact page. I was his special attention. Even though we chatted, we added for almost 3 years, but never chatted with was pinned to the top of his head. Sir's face was pale. He was like a thief living in the dark, maintaining a mean and poisonous image, using the lowest means to covet his eldest brother's woman. Seeing Shu hate Suang because of what he said, he was perverted and secretly happy. Xuan gritted his teeth. Su, you are really awesome. You used to give me those bad tricks. You are deliberately trying to alienate me and Suang, right? I was wondering why Suang is getting less and less interested in me. It turns out that you are the one who did it. The phone broke into pieces. Xuan Nanu made a fatal move and punched Su one by one. It's not enough to have one more Jae Youngin. Even the little brothers around him are coveting her. Suang, why do so many people like his Suang? Su was beaten so hard that he couldn't get up. Seeing my mocking eyes, I don't know where he got the courage from, and he punched Xuan Nu in return, tearing his face. He said, yes, I like her, but I only dare to think in my heart. Why do you bully her so blatantly? The two of them wrestled in a ball. Instantly dog bites dog. So happy. But I didn't have the patience to continue watching. I still had half a chemistry paper to finish. This time I have to move up 100 places. Xuan Anu's fight with Su Roy soon alarmed the school and was punished. Jansen asked me, how do you know Su Roy likes you? I chewed osmanthus candy in my mouth. I don't know, I guessed it. I held my cheek and spun the ballpoint pen on my fingertips. He is just weird. I am so beautiful and cute. How could anyone really hate me? There must be something wrong. When things are abnormal, even if he doesn't like me, he can plant a seed of doubt in Shi's heart, and the small group will fall apart sooner or later. Jansen was defeated by me, but he nodded in agreement. Yes, who would not like you? Our Suang is the most likable. After the baseline test, I successfully moved up 180 places and exceeded the task. I kept the position of the god of learning. Even the head teacher and the dean of teaching, who have always disliked me, praised me for the first time. He even used me as a positive example to tell the bad students who were just hanging around in school. Everything went as I expected. The day before the college entrance examination, Xuannu, who had been persuaded to drop out of school, was waiting for me at the gate of my community. I didn't want to have too much contact with him, so I was ready to walk away. Xuannu saw my intention and said directly, "Suang, I'm actually very curious about one thing. If I send him the chat records of me asking you to seduce Jiang Xin, what do you think his reaction will be?" I turned my head and stared at him. Xuannu put one hand in his pocket and looked at me self-deprecatingly. "Finally, you are willing to stop. Look at me carefully and listen to me." I didn't say anything. I just walked up to him, swung my arm, and hit him in the face. There was a pop sound. Xuannu's face was tilted away, and even the corner of his mouth was broken. He grinned in pain with the tip of his tongue against his mouth, but he laughed. "You haven't touched me for a long time. Are you sick?" I cursed. "Why do you always target Jiang Xin?" Xuannu met my angry gaze. "No reason. I just don't like him. Seeing you stay with him, care about him, and ignore me, I'm particularly upset. Who I care about is none of your business." I was speechless. Xuannu said, "It's not that I didn't love you, but you threw my sincerity on the ground and trampled on it. Now I have changed my mind. I don't like you anymore, and I don't want to be around you anymore. But you are pestering me and doing shameless things. Is it fun to threaten me?" Seeing that I was angry, Xuannu hurried forward to grab my hand. "Suang, I just want to start over with you. I want you to give me a chance, but you don't even want to see me and you don't even want to talk to me. Do you know how uncomfortable I am? If it were before, I wouldn't have to say anything. Just a look from me would make you feel so distressed." I impatiently shook his hand away. "Xuannu, it's too late. I've fallen in love with John Jen." Xuannu's hand fell into the air, slowly vertically to the side, and clenched into a fist. Jealousy flashed in his eyes. "I heard from Linas that John Jen has a mental illness. He usually pretends to be a normal person, but in fact, he is an emotionally unstable lunatic. If he knows our secret, will he go crazy? Can he take the exam normally tomorrow?" I frowned. "Suang, let's make a deal. I will keep this secret in my heart. I will never disturb him before the exam is over, and you come back to me." I was silent, but John Jen appeared. Xuannu sneered. I asked him to come. There must be a witness at such an important moment. "Suang, this time I give you the right to choose. It's up to you to say it or not." The only trump card in his hand that can control me was finally revealed. On the eve of the college entrance examination, I cursed, "Scumbag. Suang, you look good even when you curse people." She looked fascinated and did not forget to remind him. "He is walking towards us. You don't have much time to think about it." The person across the street was getting closer and closer. Xuannu tapped his watch impatiently and turned his head to John Jen deliberately and said, "Jansen, Suang has something to tell you." Jansen shifted his gaze to me. I exhaled. I couldn't avoid it. "Jansen," I said. The corners of Xuannu's mouth curled up slightly. After a round and round, what should be his is still his. Everything returned to the starting point. Nothing has changed. Jiang Shenu looked at me expectantly. "Can you?" he shouted in his heart. "What's wrong with the college entrance examination?" Xuan was shocked. "You don't care? How is it possible? You protect Jiang like a hen protecting her chicks and prevent Sue and I from getting close. Aren't you afraid that he'll have an accident in the college entrance examination? What are you acting?" I slowly looked at John Jen, looking at him like an idiot. "Brother, don't you know there is a word called recommendation?" Xuannu was stunned. "Recommendation? Recommendation?" I shook my head. No wonder he got 3 points in physics. He would drool even if he was cured. Xuannu was so excited that his eyes turned red. He simply ignored everything and said sternly, "Chang Xin, do you know why Suang sat next to you? It was my instruction. Do you know how much she likes me? I just said I hated you and asked her to seduce you, and she did it obediently. Her kindness to you is all acting. She doesn't care about you at all." "Fool. You are just a part of our play." He took out his mobile phone and showed the screenshots taken at that time. Look, I still have the evidence. Compared to Xuan Nu's excitement and sarcasm, Zheng's expression was quite calm. He didn't even look at his phone. He just said, I know, but what's the problem? Xuan Nu stared. You don't mind? Zhang Suang is so cute. Which boy in the class doesn't want to be her desk mate? But she chose me, which means I am different in her heart. Xuan Nu said, No. Don't you understand? I mean, she is calculating you. Zheng then said, Why doesn't she calculate you? Is it because she doesn't like you? Xuan Nu exclaimed, Are you in love? Zheng, who wouldn't be confused when meeting someone like Suang. Someone is not in love, and now his wife ran away. Shenu was so angry that his face spasmed. You are sick, hopeless. She left. Before leaving, he looked at me and said, Suang, I used to be unfaithful in my feelings. I liked many girls and hurt your heart. So this time, I allow you to be absent for a while. When you get tired of Zhongzhen, come back to me. I will wait for you forever. I didn't answer. The college entrance examination passed quickly. Although Zhongzhen had already been recommended to Tsinghua University, he still took the college entrance examination. He became the top scorer in science in our province. Although I studied hard, I had fallen behind in my studies before, and I only had enough score to get into an ordinary second-tier university. Xuan barely glanced at the surrounding environment and said impatiently, Tisk, please change places next time. Long-distance relationships are the most challenging to human nature. You and Zhongzhen are destined to be from two different worlds. You didn't do well in the exam. Why don't you go to study abroad with me? Before I could answer, Zhang Sun snatched the phone away. Don't bother with me. Tsinghua and Peking University are vying for me. My only condition for admission is that I must bring my girlfriend. They all agreed. There was a long silence on the other side, and finally, he gritted his teeth and said, Is it great to be good at studying? Jansen said, I don't know. Anyway, it's easy to find a girlfriend. The other side, through the phone, went silent. I didn't follow Zhang Sun to Tsinghua University in the end, but chose to repeat a year and was admitted to the journalism major of the university of my choice. I'm not that kind of material, so I won't grab the quota that should belong to others. 6 years later, the new research elite in Beijing married the most beautiful weather anchor. In front of the wedding poster at the entrance of the hotel, a man with a scar on his right eyebrow took a photo with the bride. Jen's diary. Suang dyed her hair pink and shortened her school uniform skirt. Her ankles were thin and white, and she wore a red rope bell. The boys in the class were all talking about her, and even the boys from the neighboring school came to see her. Really, it was hard to bear. Her bleached hair broke easily, and she liked to use the broken hair to scratch other people's noses and then laughed. But she never teased me. Why? I looked boring. I really wanted her hair. Would it hurt her if I pulled it out directly? Suang got the last place in the exam and was scolded and cried. I got the first place in the grade, and everyone started to pass my notes around. When it came to her, she drew a big turtle on it. I liked to hear the sound of the bell on her ankle. I wanted to keep ringing under me, keep ringing. Big turtle, so cute.